trim ring and just let it block the intercooler, because going down, there it is, just block that whole thing with the transcooler, because the intercooler is much happier now with the bumper cut open. I think granted, I did not make a full quarter-mile pass, but it was, we would start a pass at like 126, and it would see 24 pounds of boost in that first gear, and it would only go to like 132 temp. So
welcome to the Drag Driver Pete News, presented by Summit Racing. I want a couple stories from Drag Week, dude, because fun stuff, parking lot beers.
Everything was great on Drag Week, minus the racing for me. It was a thrash just to get to Drag Week. I mean, as you saw, 3 weeks before, I torched the motor, had the block out, and thank God for the machine shop that helped me. I mean, they turned it around the block in 48 hours, and we had the car back running in 7 days, which is probably what led to my horrible performance. But I mean, we left for Maryland, which is only 6 hours from me, so it was a treat this year. Sunday, we were like, we got to test. We've only had 5 passes on this car all year, and it showed great promise. It went 820s at 177 in the first time out with it. So I'm like, it's gonna be a rocket ship. And then Sunday, first pass, they kind of rushed us through the lanes. Steering wheel comes off after I let go of the button. Ooh. And I did grab the column like we talked about before I got the GoPro video. I did grab the column before I shoved the steering wheel back on. I didn't even remember it. And then we fought boost issues all day. The car was going like 1030 at 130 on 3 pounds of boost. Figured out it was a safety. All right, turn that off, because the turbos are so big now that we have to whack this thing with a ton of dome pressure on the hit just to get them to energy into them. And that was when the first time I had the RPM sync was Sunday. And we're like, okay, now we've never had this in the 10 years the car's been together. So, Monday, I was excited. We changed cam sensors. We changed this, tuning, blah, 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 blah. I think we got it all figured out. Monday, obviously with so many racers now, it's a one and done type of deal, unless you want to be there till 5 o'clock at night, which we don't want to do ever. But, I let go of the button, and that thing I looked down, the thing backfired. I looked down, it just says sync across my dash. And I knew right at that instant that my racing week was over. I'm going to turn in a 12-second, 15-second time slip, and there's no coming back from that. It's just impossible. So that rest of the week was just survive the week, make my limp down the track, try to fix it every night in the hotel, but enjoy the parking lot beers and hanging out with friends and the restaurants. And, we all try to get together, tacos and margaritas and all the good stuff. But
hang out with you guys next time.
Oh yeah, we're a fun bunch with Mark and Ed and the wife and the friends and everything. I mean, I got to show you a picture of this pineapple thing I got at this Mexican restaurant. It was a half a pineapple just loaded with food. It was amazing. But and a month before, we put a new converter in the car too, because the old one, they missed the spec on it. So I literally just ordered a PTC because I didn't have any time to wait for them to restall it and hope it works. Mm-hmm. The car's never had a problem on the street. Day one, we get up on the highway, my transmission temp goes through the roof. I'm cruising like 230 degrees. And I'm like, oh man, it's just riding the converter the whole time. Everything's new. The trailer's new. Everything's new. And it's like, now we're working out the bugs when I've never had a problem with transcooling. The thing used to run 160. So I found out on the highway that if I ran 80 miles an hour, it would drop 30 degrees trans temp, because it would be off the converter, it'd be coupled up, and it'd be good. Everyone I'm driving with does 65. So I would fly 80 miles an hour for 10, 15 minutes, let the trans drop, and then I'd fall back to get back with them, because I wasn't the navigator. My co-pilot's not a navigator. So we did that the entire first day, and I think I saw 250 for a while trans temp.
Jim is like, oh god.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh man, I'm just happy it wasn't 100 degrees. Mm-hmm. Like if it was 100 degrees out, there's no way I would have made that first drive in one. It would have been sit for a half an hour, put fans on it, let it cool, try it again. We got all the way to the hotel. I pull the dipstick and I'm like, okay, it's red. Doesn't smell bad. I'm like, maybe I don't have to change the trans fluid. We drained the catch can because we smelt fluid at one point. When it hit 250, it must have pushed fluid. I drained that catch can. You could smell it through the whole parking lot of the hotel. I was like, yep, that's done. We had to drain everything that night, clean everything, but we were still fighting the cam sync issues. Well, what we thought was cam sync. So there was the hotel we stayed at was behind a gas station that had a burger place inside of it. And we found out if you mixed coconut and pineapple Bacardi shooters, you didn't need to add anything. You just have that as a cocktail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So they sold like
Good
8
info.
packs of the shooters. So we're sitting there just drinking those all night while I'm still trying to figure out why there's an RPM sync. I'm like, I don't know if these two things are going to go together correctly. Obviously, we didn't figure it out, but we got the trans fluid changed. So that's all that mattered at that point.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Harris from the Monoxide Podcast. Real quick, Howard's Cams was founded as a racing cam manufacturer almost 80 years ago when Howard Johansson created Howard's Power and Racing Equipment in 1945. Howard's Cams has always used on-track experience to design the most powerful designs, and today they have an even greater group of experienced racers in circle track, drag racing, road race, mud bog, and marine. They use all this input plus the most advanced computer software to design the most competitive race-winning products. From pioneers in drag racing and oval track to cutting-edge marine development, Howard's Cams is at the forefront of the industry. So make sure to reach out to our friend Luke B for your next valve train upgrade.
Interesting. So what? How did you just limp it all week? Because
So-
dude, you can't imagine the mountains and how bad that thing was just
So
boiling.
after day one, it wasn't as bad. I was seeing 220s, 230s. I would leave that thing down a gear. I'd kick. It's a 400, so I would leave it in second going up the hill, and it would keep the RPMs 3,500, and that would keep it out of just riding on the converter the whole time.
Yeah.
So once I figured all that part out, it was much, much better. And the only time it really was a problem was when we ended up on the highways.
Yeah.
Just running at that long a time. So
You
it's
need to get
something I
into-
have to change. The trans-cooler's been in the same spot since the car's together, and I've never had an issue before. But now with this way looser converter, it's a major problem now that I have to figure out. I got to get it in the front end somewhere, but there's no room in that front end anymore.
Jim, help us. What's a recommendation?
Ditch the 400 and get an 80 in there. Man, 2 years ago on the circuit in Branson, I saw some 240, 260 trans temps and with my 400, and that was it for me. I built an 80 for this thing. You know, I did the entirety of Michigan and never saw over 180 degrees. Same thing on 666. The 4L80 made the car.
That 4L80 for the horsepower I'm shooting for is big money.
Yeah.
Did
you know.
maybe go gear vendor overdrive? I mean, because
Yeah, no, the gear vendor still doesn't lock the converter up, and for me, that's
Yeah.
where the heat's usually at.
100%.
Yeah,
It's the converter.
making the kind of power I'm sure you're making, that's you're going to need a lot more hard parts for sure.
Yeah. I think it's going to get a 40-row like set rab cooler, and I might just stick it right in that big opening I cut open with Eric's trim ring and just let it block the intercooler because, going down, there it is. Just block that whole thing with the trans cooler because the intercooler is much happier now with the bumper cut open. I think, granted, I did not make a full quarter-mile pass, but it was we would start a pass at like 126, and it would see 24 pounds of boost in that first gear, and it would only go to like 132 temp. So
Wow.
it's greatly improved over where it was a month ago.
You might can share a little bit of that airflow with a big tranny cooler up there and help a bunch.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to have to happen now. But
Yeah.
I got to worry about the cam sync issues first. Well, crank sync, it's not cam. We figured that out.
Yeah, gotta run before you can overheat the trans, huh?
Well, so I'm actually working with Bob Eat right now. I have his fuel drive cable set up on the car, and we're working to get a crank trigger on it now because we believe something happened to the reluctor wheel when we had the engine apart 3 weeks ago. Rushing, maybe I bent it on the bench just enough at 7,000 RPMs and above. It's just wiggling just enough to lose that sync. So
Yeah.
that's the plan we're working on now for it.
That's crazy. Well, let's talk about powertrain stuff real quick. We'll talk about yours first because we're kind of on your stuff here.
Yeah.
Lay out what it is.
So it's a stock block 5.3 LC9 Gen 4 K1 cranking rods, Summit Pro pistons, AFR heads on it, Brian Tooley valve train and cam. Nothing's high end, nothing fancy special. It's got AFR enforcers, which was their cheap line, but I just filled it with Brian Tooley's stuff and stock bore, stock stroke. It's got bullseye S472s on it now, V-band housings that we just upgraded to this year because we had their 66s on it last year, which we were 32 pounds of boost, about out of steam on those things. So
Yeah, 32 pounds on these compared to 32 pounds on those. That's a big difference if you're
we
making.
haven't made it over 24 pounds yet. And we had, like, when we took out the first day of testing, the suspension was all wrong, because now it's got, after the chassis shop, they did all upgraded torque boxes in it, and we didn't have it lined out. We were going like 140, 60 foot, and
Oh,
it was,
man.
it was a dud.
Yeah.
And we had a really, really slow ramp into it. And I think it peaked 24 pounds in third gear, and it was going 177 already. So,
Wow.
yeah, I got back into the 120s on drag week, 60 foot. I'd like to get it back into the 110s where it was last year. And I mean, there's no reason this thing's not going mid sevens. Like, it's got the potential to do it. You know,
Mhm.
it's the mile an hour is already there for 780s. So she's gonna make some steam once we actually get we get it all together.
Right. So you have this smaller cubic inch set up in twin turbos, but then we go over to Jim, and it's a different beast. What are you running?
Just a short deck 496, small dome piston. It's got a Howard's roller in it, an older set of Canfield 360s on it. Way too much camshaft and cylinder head for what I have. You know, it sounds like it ought to run in the low sixes, and it doesn't. But I'm having a great time with it. You know, and then of course that picture is the old 400 I built for it. It's currently got an 80 that I built in it with an extreme automatics valve body, billet input. You know, mostly stock beyond that. And then I think that last picture is me in the floor cutting the 8.8 down. I didn't really cut it down. I cut it down to fit wheels I had, actually. You know, that's backwards of most people, but operating on the old tight budget there. So a 31 spline 8.8 has 370s in it right now. Got a Circle D converter, you know, just a 10-inch Circle D single disc lock-up converter. Man, it makes that thing so nice to drive on the road. I can run that thing with fender exits and, you know, at 85, 90 mile an hour, just cruising.
That's awesome.
You know, that's you know, that big block's in it now. Worked out a deal with old Robert Voss to buy his motor out of his car, so almost got that deal wrapped up. So we're going to try to go a fair bit faster next year, throwing another 100 cubic inches at it. So it'll be a 588. And I'm going to try to get it on Holly this winter. I'm still a carburetor guy, man. Dominator's where it's at. That thing's just an animal. I swapped the Dominator on it from a 4150 in a hotel parking lot in Tulsa on 666. And you know, popular opinion is Dominators are not street carbs. That's a bunch of BS, man. That thing idles at 950 now. It's so much nicer to drive, you know. So
That's
but
interesting, dude.
I'm gonna try and get it on Holly this winter.
The
And
Lord's
since
ECU.
yeah, right. The Lord's ECU. Yeah,
The Lord's ECU, yeah.
man, that's crazy. That's pretty awesome. So what's the best you've been in the car? And how many miles have you
The best
driven
I've done in that car, based on a draggy, is a 688 in the eighth. You know, like 101, 102, or something like that. It's like I said, it's just way overheaded and cammed, but those were the parts I had when I put it together. So,
and then how many miles have you driven on that thing? Because you did 66, and now you've done the drive to Michigan miles and back.
3,700 in Michigan, a little over 3,000 on 66. Man, I don't know. I'm probably nearing 8,000 or 9,000 miles on it, maybe a little more, between a couple years worth of the circuit. And then I drive it a lot more now. You know, it just used to sit in the yard till I started dragging driving. Now I'm like, let's take this thing to dinner or something. You know.
Yes.
You got to use your car. You know, you got to use your car. We went to a concert in Oklahoma City last night, and I was like trying to think of a reason to take the race car.
That's cool, man.
We didn't take the race car, but we did stop and have Waffle House on the way home.
Well, hey, there you go. You got to support them, man. Got to support them. Well,
Got to take care of them.
Right before we wrap up, let's roadside repairs. What's one or two roadside repairs you guys have had to complete?
What do you got, Eric?
I didn't have any. I didn't get stuck on the side of the road this year. Everything was fixed in the hotel parking lot. I got pretty lucky. The only thing that came up was a trailer tire on Mark's trailer, but you know, every night in the hotel we were slinging cam sensors. We found split spark plug wires. I had to buy an overpriced Fuel Tech smart coil because that died, and but every night I got lucky. We worked on it every night in the hotel parking lots, but we didn't have any roadside, thank God, because some of those roads,
Dude.
I mean, I I don't know how you would work on the side of the road on those hills in Pennsylvania
No,
like that.
no,
Oh,
you'd have been in trouble. We came up on Robert and David Williams the first night when they thought they had blown the motor up, and they were on the hill, like the steepest
no.
part of the hill, trailer behind. They're like, we don't know what to do, man.
Yeah, it's
They were
so
trying
tight.
to unhook the trailer and hook it to somebody else, and it's pretty sketchy.
Yeah, some of them roads, and like I felt bad for Ed when we left Maple Grove. He stayed to make another pass, and he had to drive in the rain at night in those roads. And I'm like, it was tough enough just during the day in the rain. I couldn't imagine at night.
Jim?
I've been real fortunate. We haven't had really any just massive roadside breakdowns, anything like that. We've done some tire clearancing with a hammer and a saw in a hotel parking lot. Most of my roadside stuff has been the deadgum trailer. I just, between 66 and then those roads around Detroit, I beat my little trailer to death. It's just a little factory built 4x6, but like I said, I've put several sets of springs, or broke several springs in it so far, and bent an axle. And I mean, most of that's my fault. I end up taking way too much stuff because I don't want to be on the side of the road. But we've helped some folks with some parts and tools and stuff, and that's but nothing major breakdown so far. Of course, like I said, I'm pretty slow and don't really lean on anything hard yet. We're going to change that next year, I hope, with this big inch deal. So I'll probably have some good stories then. But I carry tranny parts. I carry basically everything, but rods and a block and a head, to fix the motor. And I haven't had to pull any of that stuff out yet, but all of that is probably the reason I keep tearing the trailer up. So I got to find that balance. I'm 3-4 years in and still taking way more junk than I need, but it is what it is.
Well, when you're that far from the house, man, it's tough,
Hey, when we went on 66, I had just finished that 80 swap. Hadn't even ever drove it. I ran it on the lift and confirmed it had 4 gears, and we took off. But I took my 400, the driveline, the converter, and the cross member with me that entire trip, just in case.
No.
And that
Dude, that's
you open that trailer and people are like, Jesus, man, what, did you not? Is there anything you didn't bring? I'm like, well, not really. So I brought it all. But fortunately, big believer that if you take it, most of the time you don't need it.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I've been so lucky, because I just take way too much stuff.
That's crazy. All right, last question, I promise, and we'll let you guys go. Let's talk about camping and hotels. What do you guys do?
We do the hotels. I love camping. It's a big thing in my life, but give me a hot shower and air conditioning after a day of driving this. And then give me friends in a parking lot with some beers or bourbon preferably. But no, it's hotel for me when it comes to this stuff.
That's awesome.
We typically hotel it. Like I said, I'm definitely the guy that needs a shower once a day. But what we did, we camped on the circuit last year, and man, it was hot. It was hot, but it was still a good time. And we talked about camping on Smokies coming up, in 2 weeks. And between the three of us, we just have to take so much stuff to camp and be able to stay at the racetracks and make a meal or whatever. It just made more sense. And we split a hotel room, so it works out. But I definitely want to do another 1 or 2 camping. Wanted to camp in Michigan, but taking my dad, I didn't know how he'd deal with it, and I want to make sure he was comfortable. So but I'm going to try to camp more, because the parking lot beers at the hotel are great. Man, you get 8 or 10 guys at the track, 8 or 10 groups, and you have a great time too, and make some real good friends real quick that way.
Yeah. Well, and one of the biggest benefits of camping is you get the first parking spot you want. You know what I mean?
Hey, but you also get rained on if it rains.
Oh yeah.
You get to sleep with the mosquitoes, which that's whatever.
The air conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big AC guy too.
Yep. I want to turn that thing down to about 62 at night.
As low as it'll go.
Yeah. Freeze my ass off. Get up the deck. It's going to be. Well, y'all listen. Thank you so much
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys a whole bunch for doing this.
It was a good time. Thanks, guys.
I appreciate you guys.
All right, we're going to kick you guys off and close the show. Y'all, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, have a good one.
See you guys.
Guys, have a good day.
Have fun, dude. We need to do more guests, man. Maybe one guest on news.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just too much fun. There's so many stories that are out there from the drag and drive community. It's just really fun to hear and see and do all that kind of cool stuff. Just want to say thanks again to Howard's Cams for their support here for the community segment of the Drag Drive Repeat News. All right, guys, listen, we can't do this without y'all. You know how this works. You're our race car friends. Hit the share button as we jump in here. I do want to say thanks to everybody that has been sharing this stuff and making comments the last few shows. Man, it's been really cool to see the growth from that. We really appreciate that a whole bunch. And then thank you so much to our sponsors who help us make all of this possible, the travel, the equipment, all the stuff that goes on, the PRI award shows, all that kind of stuff that happens here at Drag Drive Repeat, Summit Racing, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, AFCO Racing Products, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Chains 3D, Power Tube TV, WAF Racing, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. Y'all, I just ask, if you're shopping for stuff, hit those guys up first, see if they've got something that you can work with. We would be certainly appreciative of that.